whatever. They store this data between 6 months and 2 years. That's what the directive says. And this has to be implemented in all countries in the European Union. If I'm not wrong, the Belgian law had to be passed before the 1st of July. And if I'm not wrong, it hasn't been passed yet because the government fell. So you Belgians, you might have some delay, but in the Netherlands it's already in place, this law. Now, why would government be a threat? So most people argue when in this kind of discussion, I don't have anything to hide. So I trust the government. I do nothing wrong, so people can have my data. And when there's a crime, well, people they'll find the criminal because which is the case in some cases. But government can be a threat to you because, government consists of people, police departments consist of people, they sometimes have their own agenda. We don't have a lot of examples in our history because, we tend to have stable democracies, but for example, I remember like 15 years ago, there was this, in the post-Dutroux area, there was this hassle about Di Rupo, who's at some point in time accused of having, doing illegal stuff with minors. And that was a league that was kind of organized by some police commissaris, head of, I don't know the English name, in Brussels. So sometimes if people have power, and if they're not controlled in a sufficient way, they can abuse that power. It can also happen in private companies. For example, recently in Germany there was a row because Deutsche Telekom was actually spying on their own employees, so they were suspecting some people of having contacts with the competition, and they were using the data they were obliged to store and to track. So they were using that data for their own purposes to see who's calling to who and who's calling to the competition. Another way in which governments can abuse data is just simple laziness. Police departments also consist of people who are under work pressure, people who want to have their job done in the fastest way as possible. So as soon as they have some elements against you, and they might have some suspicion already, they won't take the effort to search for elements that might be so that could prove your innocence. In the Netherlands, for example, there has been a row about a guy from Suriname descent, so a black guy in the Netherlands, who has been followed by the police for like 10 years, who every time they had like simple traffic control, they arrested the guy. The reason was that his name was filed as criminal. There was someone with the same name who indeed had a history of drug traffic, and he simply could not clear his name because the whole bureaucratic process was too slow, and people were actually too lazy. There was no one in the whole apparatus taking responsibility for, I'm going now to clear this person's name in all of the databases we have. Okay, maybe I can take my power cable.
No, it's not power.
Okay.
It's function F8, but it doesn't work. Keep switching back. There it is.
Okay, I was talking about the government. But apparently, indeed, we do trust our governments. We do trust we have faith in our democracy, the fact that we are government, because there has been very little protest against this data directive. There still are legal challenges. For example, in Germany, the highest court has simply said this law is illegal, but they just said the German implementation of the law is illegal, and there might be now a challenge to this data direction directive on the European level, following a complaint from some Irish people. Now, so I mentioned government, other users can be a threat to your privacy, but that's the same for all kinds of user-generated content. People can mention that you are somewhere. What's also possible is that a husband gives a phone to children, or wife or an employee gives a phone to an employee, and there is tracking software installed. And the fact that you can actually hide tracking software is also a responsibility of the application developer. So that's why I want to come to the application developer. The application developer takes some design decisions that make that this application can or cannot be abused in some way. There should be a screenshot here. For example, one of the main criticisms to Google Latitude was exactly that you could run it in the background, and once you had switched it on, there was no notification that coming back that you had switched it on, so you might forget it. If you compare this, for example, there's a similar service by Yahoo called Fire Eagle, and they send you reminders every month. You have this service running. You are actually exposing your location to this and this service to make sure that you're aware every time that you're actually doing this. So these are design decisions by the by the application developer. So maybe you've heard of Dana Boyd. Is that a name that sounds familiar? Dana Boyd is a researcher that she works for Microsoft nowadays, and she actually specializes in this kind of subject. So how can you make your application privacy